Let's take a closer look at the Black Series, a 6-inch figure of Chopper from Star Wars Rebels.
Villa Varykino, living the Star Wars life.
Hello there, and thanks for visiting the Villa Varykino YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be taking a closer look at and unboxing the Hasbro, the Black Series, 6-inch version of Chopper from the animated series Star Wars Rebels. For us here locally in New Zealand, this figure was released on store shelves alongside the figures from the Ahsoka live action, where Chopper is also present. So I thought it was interesting they didn't release a live action version of him, instead choosing to do the Rebels version, at least with the case assortment that we got locally. I am still hoping to get a live action version of him. They tweaked some of his details and I think it would sort of match the look of the other figures perhaps a little bit better. But for now, I'm very excited to have Chopper for my Black Series collection. So I'm very keen to open him up. We've got some really cool sort of stand action going on here. I'm really keen to check that out. It kind of looks really cool in the box, but I do like to open my Black Series, so I'm very keen to open it up. Let's take a closer look at the packaging before we open it up first though. So for Star Wars Rebels, we have this kind of darker purple band. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to read the text on it. We can see it says Star Wars Rebels. We have the character name Chopper there printed in that same dark purple. In brackets, C1-10P, or Chop is essentially what that stands for. Everyone calls him Chopper. It's just easier to say than trying to say his full droid name. Down the side, again, we have that purple color accenting the side art. He looks a little short on the side. I think this art would look better if sort of puzzle pieced alongside the other Rebels Black Series boxes there. We can see he has his name down the bottom there, and right at the top we can see the ghost flying past perhaps Lothal up there at the top, looking really cool. And we can see they've kind of added a bit of a jet flame there underneath them to sort of match the stand that we have here, so very cool. On the back we have a little bit of a closer insert on that same art, and we have a little bit of a bio for Chopper. Chopper is the resident droid of the Ghost, assisting the crew in everything from ship maintenance to combat, even though he doesn't always want to, which I think is that's a fun description of him. He's he's got a lot of attitude for a little droid. So we've got the standard copy text there. Chopper is number 08 from the Star Wars Rebels line. Lots of text there at the bottom, standard little window there, and a little bit of a side window there at the side there. So pretty cool packaging. Very keen to open him up though, so let's get him out. So now I have Chopper out of his packaging and I'm already fascinated. So one of the first things I noticed while I was pulling him out of the plastic was how they have done this interesting base. I think this is really quite fun. You could kind of see that it was in two parts. I didn't really quite sort of be able to tell how it was going to be sort of articulated or joint when it was sitting in the package, but yes, he comes with sort of like a fiery point blast base. So I guess if you want to like suspend him on wires or something, like he is jet rocketing up, you could do that. But that point sits in just the open circle of the top of the sort of cool flame part here, which makes for a really cool display feature. I think that's really quite cool. And the other thing is that we've obviously got some accessories here. So we've got some different modes. We have his third leg, which kind of goes in the middle. And then we have an alternate leg because he's kind of got some mishmashed parts. And then at some point he kind of gets a more symmetrical leg. You can see it matches his right leg here. So we're going to see how easy it is to swap some things around. And there's also some details on him that I think might be able to pop out, particularly this front little arm here. So I'm very keen to take a look at all of these features. So I think this looks pretty cool. Another thing that I noticed when I was getting them out is this top little antenna is kind of like a little bit of a soft rubber. And it feels very affixed, and as you can see close up, it's got a very narrow neck. So if you're going to take him out of the packaging, I would perhaps not keep him in like a Ziploc bag or in a box with other figures. I get the feeling this might just bend and snap off. It's very easy to move and it is quite thin, so I'd be a little bit careful around that point. It is slightly sort of soft and bendy, not hard brittle plastic, but I still feel like it would be easy to snap that off, and that's going to really ruin the look of Chopper. It's one of his very iconic components there. The top of the antenna sort of painted in silver, the rest of it is this kind of grey, sort of more flat tone. And obviously they've done a very weathered look for Chopper here. That was one of the things you could really see in the packaging. We've kind of got like this greeny brown weathering all over, particularly on his legs. You can see it goes all the way up onto his head, on the front body. Not as much on the back, but we've still got some here on his feet and some big smudges on the back. I know some collectors are very particular about the weathering on their figures. This is perhaps not one of my favorite sort of weathering jobs on a figure. You can kind of see that it looks like printed paint there, and in certain places. But I'm not too fussy. I know, I certainly wouldn't try and change this myself. I am not that brave. So just, yeah, I was only able to find one of these locally, so I didn't get to see if others had less, more, or any kind of varied weathering there. So if you do happen to find more than one, you can certainly compare them at your local store if weathering particularly bothers you. So let's go ahead and look at some of his details. I think for the most part, his articulation is going to be very specific to Chopper. Most Black Series figures have very similar articulation in terms of their arms and legs and head and mid-chest and stuff like that. Chopper is completely unique. He's a different shape and style to R2-D2. We've still got a few sort of similar components like astromech legs and things like that, but he's so unique. It's going to be quite fun exploring some of this. So his head can rotate. It doesn't click or anything like that, but it does move with a little bit of, it's not smooth, like I can't like spin him around, but that's not too hard to move. There is like a clicking point over here. It kind of clicks in and then it keeps going around, but that's fun. You like to pose him facing a certain way. That's nice. And of course we've got this flame. At the moment I can't put him down on the desk, so I'll take a closer look at the, oops, I got some dust, at the base. We've got this kind of fun translucent sort of bright yellow orange sort of flame, as if he is rocketing up off a surface, which I think is just really cool. We can see that there's kind of like a little bit of a subtle smoke effect, I think, sort of applied around the base. You can kind of just see the internal structure of it there. I think that that's really fun. You can do it either way. It looks good from both sides. You could do it front forward, however you want, because of the way that they have done the join. You can angle it, so if you're trying to fit this in amongst the figures on your shelf, that's cool. I kind of miss the days where, particularly with the 4-inch figure line, where they came with all sorts of interesting bases. The TVC line doesn't really include bases anymore. I know some of them were a bit clunky. They keep changing the style, so your display shelf never looked really that cohesive. But I did like some of the themed ones where you could sort of stand certain figures on them. I do kind of miss that era. But yeah, fun that we've got one for Chopper. So what if we want to just sit him down without this flame section on him? How easy is it going to be to take this out and put his third leg on? So let's have a look, see. Oh, okay, wow, that's quite a long peg. That obviously goes up all the way in there. That's kind of fun. We can see he's got little wheels. Keen to test those on the desk. So yeah, this is all just one solid piece. I think this has got like a little bit of, this little bit rotates. I'm not quite sure why. There is even a tiny little bit of like little mud weathering on this bit as well. You can see that long peg all the way up. Not too worried about this in a box in case you don't want to display that piece. So now that we've got this leg is like slightly tipped in. I don't know if you can kind of see that. So it's not sitting completely flat, so his wheels aren't really working when I just put him flat like that. But we'll try him with his third leg shortly. So if I sort of tip these ones back, we can kind of see that goes, I can actually see the orange of his head all the way in there. I know the light really won't sort of shine. I can just make out sort of the orange over here, which is kind of fun. Guess he's kind of hollow. So this doesn't look like it has a front and a back too much. I'm just going to sort of stick that in there. Okay, that goes, just slides in there. So it fits all the way in there with just the bottom of the wheel visible. It kind of went in a little bit further than I thought. How easy is that to kind of pull that in? That really went all the way in there. Okay, I think if you want to, you just gotta like, just really gently put that in there. I thought it would have like a longer attachment point like this. But yeah, so it like just rests in there. And the wheel does spin, does feel like a wheel. I think he looks cute in his three-legged mode. Here we go. Yeah, it's like just resting on it. It's kind of not as attached as I thought it would be, because it's only just kind of resting in there. But I guess that's kind of easy so you don't get that stuck in there. It's very cool. So I might just take that one out. Yeah, it doesn't really click in. I just thought for sure it was going to be a little bit longer, but I guess for the, you know, true droid detail lovers, you're going to be able to want to put that all the way in so that you can see just the bottom of his third leg. Let's see how easy it is to take it off and put his symmetrical leg on when he gets that one. I like that you can kind of spin his legs all the different ways. So we've got some interesting silver detail here behind his legs. Anything on the other side? Nope, plain there. So yeah, you can kind of do like, you know, when they're like flying and doing some interesting poses. The legs move fairly well. Okay, we've got just a nice easy pig there. That wasn't too hard to put on and off. Oh, and that one just snaps on. Oh, these ones actually sits perhaps a little straighter on this leg. There was something about that one perhaps that was just like not quite as straight. He sits very sturdily on his matching legs there. That's really nice. Okay, so I've taken a look at his legs. One thing that I did notice, if I pull this one back off again. Sorry, Chopper, you're just going to chill out there for a minute. The ankles are very slightly articulated so that you can sort of lean him back a little bit. But there is like sort of like a rubber tube here that moves a little bit with it, but I can kind of see just a tiny bit of clear glue residue. So I would be perhaps just, I don't think you'll stress it out moving it, but just it feels like it is fixed on both ends, and I don't really want to try wrenching on that too much. And this leg doesn't have tubes at all, so you don't, this one you can kind of see just how much sort of movement we have there, just to sort of give an example without the tube being in the way. So I'm just going to put this one back on. I like how sort of just easy that snapped on. So there are a couple of other details. I'm curious to see if they will actually move rather than just being a sculpted detail. His front arm here, that recess looks like it is a separate component inserted there. So there's a little sort of ridge here. I'm going to see if I can catch my nail on that and see if it'll actually pop out, because I'm pretty sure. Yes, that's cool. Okay, see, we've got his little arm there that pops all the way out. Same sort of silver, dark, metallic paint underneath. I love Chopper. He's got so many different colors. We've got like orange and yellow and green and gray and dark grays. That's so cool. Okay. And of course, the other detail that I'm really keen to see is if these are going to pop out to make his sort of arms, because he gestures a lot in the show. He's very expressive. He's got a lot of attitude. So let's see how easy these are, because it looks like there's a tiny little sort of gap. Hoping I can get my fingernail in there. Okay. Oh, we've got a little grabby hand, and he's got articulated little I guess, elbows, droid elbows. There we go. So he can actually sort of create some shapes there with his arms. He can stick them straight out. He can sort of bend. That's really cool. His arms are so iconic. I was really hoping that they would, that's cool. Yay. That's awesome. Now that looks like Chopper, doesn't it? Where he's like exasperated and yelling and with all his arms out. That's really cool. I like those details. I wonder how hard they are to put back in, because they're like, I kind of have to like squeeze them a little bit to kind of just get them past that roof so I can fold them back in. You kind of see they just want to sort of hit when I pull them out, and then you kind of got to just wriggle them past that top point. But I think those are pretty well done. And it looks like just like a little dark little compartment there to put them away. I can't sort of see in, so I think there is like just a little hatch there for his arms to go in. But I really like the way he looks with those arms. I'm really glad that that is a detail that they have included on this figure. So I want to see what he looks like. Oops. With this on, with his arms flailing on his stand, like he is rocketing. I like that you can get some pretty good angles because of the way that they have done this. So you can sort of make him, you can sort of splay his legs behind him a little bit like he is traveling somewhere. You can really get a good lean. And then of course you can sort of go the other way. Little bit of sort of finessing with the details, because there is sort of ridges to make the flames look a little bit more realistic, I guess. So just finding the right position spot. He does kind of want to, I mean, I've kind of balanced him so he's a little bit off balance. He does kind of want to traject this way. He's probably a bit more stable if I just put him less wild. Overall, I'd be pretty happy with that on my shelf. I don't think I'd be too worried, unless you've got sort of a house with a little bit more vibration that might want to rock this a little bit more over. That feels pretty sturdy, and I like that we've got so many different options. If you've got like a big Rebels display, you could probably get a couple of him, you know, and have him in like his earlier version with his legs mismatched, and then you can have them up on display. You can have them in three-legged mode. Like, that's so many options. I think that that's really cool. And just for one final little comparison, I've got the Rebels Hera. Now this one from my collection is actually from the black box era of Black Series, where they came in those very square black boxes with the red stripe down the side. So she's a little bit of an older figure, but just in terms of just comparison with a sort of standard Black Series figure, you can see how high Chopper is when displayed. So he's on a pretty good height next to a humanoid figure. If I take him off and take this off so we can stand him down, we can see his height next to Hera there. I think that looks pretty cute. He is such a short droid. Now, personally, I know I don't know the really sort of very specific dimensions of Chopper. I know the droid builder groups will have this down to a T. In terms of where on Hera he should come up to, but overall he is a shorter astromech. I do feel like this is a pretty good proportion. You know, he doesn't feel like too big or too small next to Hera. He looks like a good proportion there. I'm really happy with that. I think he looks really cool next to Hera. Now I've got to get all the rest of them for my Rebels display, because especially with the recent Ahsoka series, these characters are so important. And I'm really just, this Chopper is so cool. I really like the details. I was so happy to be able to find one locally. Some of the recent Black Series has been really hit and miss for us here in New Zealand. They were still waiting on a bunch that haven't turned up. Others turned up and disappeared so fast. Really happy to be able to grab this guy. He is so cute, and he's such an integral part of the Rebels show. So I'm really happy to have him for my collection. And I love all his features. Like, I like the deep detailing here on the front that's all sculpted in. I think that that's really nice. And then you've got these little components here as well. All really nice. And of course there's little wheels down the bottom. So there you go. I think he's such a fantastic, oh, and his blue eyes as well. And I don't know if there's supposed to be like a little clear one in there. It kind of looks, it's certainly like a little lens. I think that that's quite cool. There. So there you are. I'm really happy to have this Black Series 6-inch chopper in my collection. I love how expressive he is. I love that I can pose him so many different ways. And I hope to add a live action version of him to my collection in the near future. Fingers crossed, Hasbro, don't make us wait too long. So do check out my other videos for more Black Series and TVC unboxings and for more Star Wars adventures. Catch you in the next video, and as always, may the Force be with you.
If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, check out our other videos, and subscribe for alerts about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.